You've summoned me. Now, my practice is heavily rooted in Vedic astrology that doesn't consider the outer planets. But since I have a Western background and I've done my research, I know that these outer planets have a lot of influence, especially if they are making aspect within close degrees, like 5-degree orb at least, or at maximum. You can even go as far as 10, but the more degrees, further the less. I digress. Pluto's synastry will have you losing your mind, bringing out a part of you that you never even know existed. All the walls come down that you thought you had built up. You thought you had this boundary. You thought you were solid. But no, Pluto's synastry will bring out the depths of your psyche. And it's all about power play. And it's addicting because it's like, who's going to fold? Who's going to fold? Who's going to fold? And you lose your mind trying to, especially if you are the Pluto person. You're like, your Pluto is being activated. So your obsessive and controlling tendencies are being activated because these feelings that are being brought up by whatever planet's aspecting the Pluto are making you lose your mind. It's too intense. It's very intense. And even though you want to get out, you can't. You're like, this isn't right. I don't like this. This is too much. This is too stressful. Especially if it's a square aspect or an opposition aspect. Conjunction aspect kind of just makes you merge together and you want to be one with the person. You want to be in their skin. But the opposition aspect or a square aspect there's like a power play going on. There's always a power play with Pluto. But you have to explore. You have to explore these feelings and overcome them and experience them and make sure you do it in a healthy way, because according to my research, sometimes it can end in unhealthy ways or unhealthy dynamics, and sometimes you end up not even working out at all and it ends badly. And the other person who's not the Pluto, they can't help but fall into it because they're feeling the intensity coming from the Pluto person. The energy is activated. The synastry is there. You can't ignore the synastry. It's just, as long as you're in that person's life, you're going to feel it. It's something you can't ignore. And then whatever that planet is aspecting, it transforms them as well. Like the person's Pluto will transform the nature of that other planet. Like, let's say Venus, the qualities of, their value system, everything. Their Pluto is like a tower moment. Everything just comes crashing down. Like, everything's changed, but you need to experience this change in your life, and you need and to learn how to like handle obsession and control and surrender as well. And it's not always pretty, but it's definitely soul enriching. Pluto synastry is better with like Pluto Venus, Pluto Mars, Pluto Sun, something like that. But when there's Moon Pluto, it can get real hectic. It's too uncomfortable. Planets like Moon is such a sensitive planet. You have to always think about the nature of the planet. And so, yeah, but I could talk about Pluto synastry all day long. I love it. And I've been the Pluto and I've also been the Venus. So
is just want you to know that a Pluto person is usually a more mysterious one. You'll not know their motivations until you listen to your intuition, really. When it comes to the Mars person is usually the one who is more reactive and aggressive, the one who is willing to put their emotions, on their sleeve, so to speak. Someone who is so reactive and it just shows how they feel. When it comes to Pluto, however, they provoke those reactions, but they will not tell you, nor they will admit that they do. So the Mars person is usually the reactive one. However, the Pluto person is the one who subconsciously provokes the angry reactions from a Mars person. I have an in conjunction with my husband. He's a Pluto and I'm a Mars. I'm the one who is reactive, and I gotta be aware of it because I can literally think that he is his motivations, subconscious motivations, are not good towards me. That's my subjective perception, right? And that's why I react to him in a very Martian way, which is angry, reactive, why are you doing this? Nah. And then there was another friend that I had actually, which I didn't know we had this aspect with her, but apparently we did. And in this case, I was the Pluto person and she was a Mars person, and honestly this time I was able to experience the Pluto side. Now let me tell you that actually I saw that Mars friend because we had a square with her, as very emotionally reactive. I didn't even do shit. The way she was reactive towards me, I'm like, bro, I didn't even cause that. Like, did I? Come on. Like, I don't think I did. It was in my mind, but this is how Pluto people actually provoke those issues, right? Other person's being angry towards us and reacting this way by us just thinking it, and they just go and do it. They manifest it, you know what I mean? Like, for a Pluto person, let me tell you this, it's just enough to think about something, and then the Mars person will implement that anger. Like, we just thought of it and there it is. So I don't fuck with people who have Mars squaring opposite conjunct my Pluto. I really don't. My husband is one of them, but it requires a lot of other good aspects to honestly smooth this one out. It's very sexual, it's very passionate, hot. It's hot energy. However, if you look at it from a different lens, not a sexual, feminine, masculine energy lens, but actually like whether it's practical or not, you will realize that it's actually not, unless both people are willing to work on this aspect together, meaning a Pluto person is willing to actually understand their subconscious motivations, right? And acknowledge their fearful thoughts, you know, sweeping them under the rug, thinking that they don't matter, but actually those thoughts provoke destruction in their life, which are carried out by the Mars person with whom they have this aspect formed. So it's destructive and creative at the same time. Both people, the Mars and Pluto, but specifically Pluto, because Mars is a little bit more reactive on egotistical side, whereas Pluto is more in between of material and non-material. Actually, Pluto is the one who's able to deal with that and overcome this issue. If you're a Pluto person and you want the Mars person to stay in your life, you're the one to take responsibility. Actually, I think Mars person should, but given the fact that they are reactive, it's an Aries ruled planet, Pluto has more power. If Pluto just realizes the motivations that are unconscious and acknowledges them, then they can actually control what Mars does and doesn't do. But other than that, it's very competitive. The placement is very competitive because Mars thinks that you are restricting their freedom. Mars person thinks the Pluto restricts their freedom. This is how it is. So realize that, and unless both parties are willing to actually talk about it and come to a common, consensus, it's not going to happen really. Just want you to know that a Pluto, Mars square Mars, Mars squaring Pluto, synastry. Very challenging aspects, not gonna lie. Creates a lot of friction, however, at the same time, sexual attraction. These are spicy placements. Let's talk about Mars squaring Mars. Mars is all about independence. It's your ego. It's more so logical, part of you. Something that you are aware of logically. It's also like a side of you that wants to maintain boundaries from other people. Now, Mars squaring Mars, it's like two egos are at war with one another. And it's about like hunting. Who is going to be a hunter in a relationship? And it's like we have two hunters chasing one another, proving each other of how you feel, or needing the other person to prove you that they want you, but at the same time wanting to remain independent from them. And when the other person acts a little bit more aggressive towards you, or you act aggressive towards them, disrespect their boundaries, they may really get turned off. It creates that attraction. So there are fights with both of these squares, possible, very possible actually, but they may also lead to a sexual connection. It's like, we're angry at one another. After a fight, you have the best sex. Let's talk about Mars squaring Pluto. Mars squaring Pluto is like whoever Mars person is may be really threatened by Pluto manipulations, or suspect Pluto person to be manipulative and having some schemes, and hiding something from them. Pluto person unconsciously activates Mars person's aggression towards them. And it's like unconscious, completely unconscious. So Pluto person coming in contact with the Mars person will pretty much show all of their skeletons in the closet, pretty much, like all the deepest fears, the deepest emotions about separation related, betrayals, deaths, rebirth. All of these issues, Pluto person is going to display in a relationship with a Mars person. And the way they go about it, Pluto wants to, subconsciously control Mars person, and Mars feels that, and Mars cannot keep it under the rug like a Pluto does, right? Pluto is an undergod. Mars is like right up in your face. It's the first house. It's an Aries energy, although, this is a traditional ruler of a, Pluto, right? Pluto, along with Pluto of Scorpio. But still, Mars is like whenever Mars feels like they're being controlled by a Pluto person, they really like get out of handle and they will start a fight. And Pluto likes that. Pluto will like that. But also after a fight, they'll have a good sex. It's a friction, but at the same time, there is that sexual attraction. You guys have to be careful with each other, the way you relate to each other, how you treat each other. It's very important because these are very harsh aspects to have in synastry. Too much aggression and too much butting heads, Mars squaring Pluto, a very healing relationship. And if you're really attracted to this person, I suggest you work with it, learn more about these aspects, how they may play out and manifest in your life. If you are not attracted to this person, I wouldn't suggest you go for it because it's too much. Although I do need to see the entire chart, meaning that it's just going to create a lot of emotional, psychological stuff because of the Pluto involvement. But yeah, let me know if this resonates. It is healing though. It is healing.
Did you know that you can use astrology to identify the sexual compatibility with your partner or a potential partner? I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. In astrology, there's only 2 planets that indicate that, and it's not Venus. Don't bring up Venus, okay? Because it's a completely different energy. That's not sex. It's Mars and Pluto. If you're familiar with synastry charts and can run them, I want you to look at aspects between your planets and your partner's planets, not necessarily paying attention to the planets in the houses, because they can be overridden by the aspects. So for instance, if you have Venus squaring your partner's Mars, this is a good one. Or if you have a conjunction with Venus and Mars, or Pluto and Mars, or even square opposition, it's a little difficult energy, but trust me, the friction is what makes us so passionate about one another. We don't want to be the same in relationship. We don't want to have same taste. Polarities is what makes us so sexually attracted to and not having same sign. Did you know that you can use astrology to identify